Good afternoon. Thank you for being here for the last presentation, last but not least. First of all, we would like to thank the organizers of ILSI and ILSI Mesoamerica, Connie, Stefan, Heather, Anya, and Jorge, for the opportunity of addressing a very important issue in this forum. I would also like to present, first of all, our disclosure. We have no disclosure, no relevant financial or relationships to disclose. Okay, yeah. I would like to present to you ALACCTA, the Asociación Latinoamericana y del Caribe de Ciencia y Tecnología de los Alimentos, Latinamerican and Caribbean Association of Food Science and Technology. ALACCTA is an association of associations. There you can see the countries that participate within ALACCTA. ALACCTA is an association that works as the highest forum for food science and technology in the Latin American region. And as most food and science technology association, our aims are achieved through symposium, courses, congresses, etc. I would like to thank all the speakers that preceded us in this presentation. They gave us the perfect background for this presentation, and we will try to give you through this, add up the main factors that affect healthy aging and possible solutions. This is our agenda. Elderly people are in the news. We're all going towards aging. Some of us gallop, other people walk, others run, but we're definitely getting there. So let's do it in a healthy way. I would like to present you with this case. The patient is a male, 6'4", 160 pounds, 80 years old, with a chronic obstruction pulmonary disease and a pneumonia diagnosis. He was received at the hospital in critical condition. After 3.5 weeks, his pulmonary condition had disappeared, it had cleared. The patient had lost 36 pounds, and the diagnosis had changed from pneumonia to malnutrition and undernutrition. He could not be released from the hospital until this condition cleared. The patient was started on a high-protein diet, supplemented with Pulmocare. All the time while he was in the hospital, he complained of being hungry. After 1.5 weeks on this diet, he was released from the hospital. While at home, he was put back on a regular diet. He would not take Pulmocare anymore. He hated it. He was hungry for months. We don't want this situation to happen to our loved ones or to ourselves, but we know it's a common problem. By the way, the patient was my father, and I defined the diet. I had a fight with the nutritionist and with the doctors until I was allowed to do so. Now let's talk numbers. For 2050, there will be 9,100 million people in the world. 22% of them will be over 60. Latin America is no exception. I'm going to point out this data for Mexico. Right now, we are between 11 and 15% over 60. By 250, 23% of these people will be over 50. It's amazing to see that for this year, for the first time, the number of elderly people will be higher than people under 5. For 250, 80% of these people over 60 will live in medium and low class and low income countries. That's amazing. What is a fact is that we cannot deny that all countries face significant challenges to ensure that their health and social systems are prepared to face this demographic change. Right now, there are 125 million people over 80 in the world. The risk of malnutrition in the elderly have 3 components: physiological, pathological, and psychosocial. We all have seen them, and they are being addressed one way or the other. What determines our health? That's a very interesting issue. What we can see is that the biggest influence that determines our health depends on our personal behavior. A global and regional national comparative risk assessment of 79 behavioral, environmental, occupational risks show important changes in the first 5 positions over the last 30 years. Environmental risks are being controlled and are no longer within the 5 first risks. But the way we live occupy now 3 of the first 5 positions. Dietary risks between the 79 risks reported conclude that we have a wrong diet. We have a diet low in vegetables, low in fruits, low in grains, low in nuts, low. That comes to show that we need to educate consumers in eating habits. We must remember that active aging is the process of optimization of health, participation, and safety opportunities in order to improve the quality of life as people grow old. The quality of life, to have a good quality of life, there are lots of factors that affect. We have to see the physiological health, the psychological state of level and independence, social relationships, personal beliefs, etc. But what we do know is that as people age, their quality of life is largely determined by their ability to access needed resources and maintain autonomy and independence. The road to a successful life depends on our lifestyle. There are many factors that have been mentioned that are key factors for healthy aging. Lower your sodium intake, lower your energy intake, increase fiber, eat more fruits and vegetables, get enough sleep, drink water, socialize, drink less alcohol, change doctors, exercise, and to add it all up, healthy lifestyle. What are the key research findings involving a healthy aging? I would like to ask Rafael to join us and continue telling us about these key factors.
Thank you very much, Dr. Valdés. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to present together, because this is the first time that we are presenting this, and I decide why not. Why not? Because we are following this situation closely, to go deeply what is the recommended situation about nutrition, about the nutritional solutions, and what involves to the technology as well. So what is the most important implications in elderly? The more important was sarcopenia. So sarcopenia is related how is to the loss of the muscular and skeletal mass in the old people, and was relating about the quality of the different micronutrients that they consume. The causes, it could be the chronic disease, inflammation, insulin resistances, and nutritional deficiencies. The recommendations on the diet is to about sarcopenia. We know this very well, but what is the implications here? Only in terms to undernutrition and malnutrition is not about the feeding, is not only about the products that it is relating for aging people in old adults, but it is relating as well for the loss of the appetite, the gastrointestinal common problems in these disorders is common as dysphagia, immobility, and also how is regarding dementia, depression, and social isolation. So in normal way, the only situation will be the difference in the dietary, but now it is engaged with these common problems in the elderly. Also, the drug ingestion. We start to increase the pills or the medicines that we take to resolve our clinical situation when we be old. The nutritional recommendation normally in different forums, we know what is that. Increase fiber, supplement vitamin D and calcium, drink water, and easy chewing food. In the other hand, we limitate to reduce sodium to prevent the obesity, moderate sugar consumption, and reduce alcohol consumption as well. But we know that. When we got deeply in this analysis, we need to understand what is the relation between the malnutrition. Also, I want to remember for you that in the older people, malnutrition and undernutrition is synonymous, because the malnutrition is the kind of the products or foods that are bringing for this stage of the life, and the other is how is the intakes in the daily day. So the relationship was the malnutrition and inactivity. And when we talking about the sarcopenia, there is a new definition that is the myokines. Myokines is how to categorize the cytokines and also the another peptides that are expressed or maybe resolved when we move the muscle or when we do exercise. These special myokines have the important relation to prevent the loss in the skeletal muscle and also to the mass muscle losses. There is a different kind of studies that present that the relation in these myokines and vitamin D. And when we start to talking about the losses in vitamin D, we ask maybe in different studies to present the situation of vitamin D in babies and what is the relation to the exposure of the sun. But this is the same situation with older people. And then in this loss of muscle mass and skeletal mass, we understand how it's coming from metabolic disorders, mobility disability, and illness and infection. Well, in vitamin D and calcium, there are a strong relation in the skeletal muscle. There is emerging evidence that vitamin D has another role as an hormone. It's not only the relation between the bones, it's also the relation how they start to use their hormonal metabolic pathways to communicate with the muscle mass, to communicate with different organs and bone as well, and to get more mobility in this way to prevent the sarcopenia. The important here is not only to thinking that we need to know how is the amount about the protein that we need to eat. The important here is the quality of the proteins. We need to understand and don't forget that the amino acids had a different pathway and have a different functions. For example, we need to improve our diet with essential amino acids when we be older, because we need to strengthen the muscle mass. And for example, in other hand, we need to understand that the digestion in the gastrointestinal tract for other people is different. Also in the enzymatic process and the chemical process that are related in the absorption of the protein. The carbohydrates, we need to promote the feeding about the prebiotics, the fiber, and also the whole grains. We review in these days how is the important role of these important foods. And also yesterday night, we review what is the situation about the low glycemic coming from the carbohydrates. Talking about lipids, we know that the long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids has a strong relation in the brain health, mental health, and it is coming from the consumption of the omega-3. This, for example, the docosahexaenoic acid, this is important, and it is coming for the fish dishes, but in the with other people, maybe the flavor, maybe the taste, or maybe the normal typical dishes, they don't want more of this. So the consumption of this important fatty acid is coming down, and we need to improve that. But in another slide, we know that to present that the people, other people, they want to take pills. They want to have the common kind of foods that are common and typical eating in their life. And then there is so important to improve of microbiota. The situation of microbiota is that there is a lot of studies to present the importance in the health of the microbiota and the prevention of the dementia, the prevention of the Alzheimer's common process. But the situation is that we down the common counts of bifidobacteria or bacteroides changing for another facultative bacteria. So I want to see if one of you eat common probiotics in your diet. Raise your hand. Nobody eat probiotics in your... It's not normal to get probiotics in their diet. But the relevant here, we know how is the benefits about the probiotics, but we need to understand that there is another processes that kill these beneficial bacteria. For example, use antibiotics, the amount of sugars, the inflammatory process coming from the gluten, emotional stress, smoking, and other variables that we need to review how is to change in our microbiota amount. And also, it is recommended to understand that eat symbiotics ingredients, that it is the prebiotics and good amounts of bifidobacteria and some families for lactobacillus as well. We know the role of the vitamins, but the important here and for me is to understand the role of the micronutrients, because in older people, when we are going to review what is the solution for all the other people is vitamins and minerals and micronutrients, but here the most important is micronutrients that we need to improve the quality of this. And talking about the foreign versions, I come back with Professor Sara.
Okay. I don't know why I always have to lower the microphone. Never understand. Okay. Whenever we go to the shops, we're faced with 1,000 choices. Innovation food launches in the last years have been in thousands. We can see specialized products for our gut health, for our heart, for our eyes, for our mind, not to age, etc. But have you seen products for the elderly, specially designed for them? I haven't. We didn't find them. Maybe you can tell us where we can find them. We have to buy food. Maybe you hate to do it, but we have to do it. It's a must. Around the shops, what is expected for the new year, for the following years? What we're expecting is that buying at shops will change from mere provisioning and subsistence to make a pleasant, appealing experience for everyone. We have specialized halls nowadays for babies, for kids, for organic food, gluten-free products, sugar-free products, salt-free, fat-free. What about products for the elderly? It's just an idea. What about halls and food for the elderly? With the amount of millions of people we have mentioned, I think it's a must. We deserve it, not now. It depends on where we are on the race towards being elderly. What we have pointed out are the challenges that present preparing food for the elderly. When developing food, we have to consider important factors that we have already mentioned. Increased thresholds for taste and smell. Masticatory dysfunction due to loss of teeth, muscle bulk, and swallowing difficulties related to medicine intake. Challenges here are food, texture, and flavor. Give the elderly the products they want without making them feel old and sick. Develop and commercialize protein-enriched products for the elderly. Acceptability as a measurement of liking is very important. The correlation between consumer liking and sensory properties could provide developers with a better understanding of product performance and optimization. Determining the most important attributes for the products. It's evident academia, research and development departments need to walk hand in hand. Sorry. We consider that these 4 pillars to develop food for the elderly are key. Culture. We have to take into consideration what people are used to eat. We have to give them something similar. Why not even use chefs to develop those products that will be accepted? Nutrition. They must have the nutrients required for a healthy aging. The stability is very important. What is the process we're going to give them in the industry? What's the process they're going to receive in the house? How they're going to be cooked? Therefore, shelf life is very important. And the price. The price is also very important. So we consider these are the 4 pillars. And we have a few remarks, final remarks, that Rafael will give.
Thank you. There were some strategies that was implementing for elderly. In the first Meal on Wheels, there is in United States one strategy to bring in the special foods in the common food as an atypical kind of food for old people, only too easy to prepare, and they promote the food security, promote the socialization, promote the health and well-being, and delay different conditions. In care institutions, we need to promote that the care institutions understand this strategy. The patients have different conditions. How is the type of drug that they use, the eating abilities, eating habits as well, dental condition, communication abilities, and what is the menu most including nutrient requirement by the patients? Because the old people has the same diet when going to the hospital. The quality of the proteins are different, the amounts about the carbohydrates as well. And to finalize, the key message for this important stage of life will be the lifestyle. This is important, and we need to modify the fat controller on the rate to decline. How our body function will be in elderly. To promote healthy aging and minimize age-related with the lost muscle, mass and strain adequate protein, vitamin D, calcium, and intake is needed. The elderly required to age healthy diet important after exercise, not before. And actually, need to understand that the relation about the myokines is when we start to move. The myokines will be produced after the exercise. So developing and commercializing protein and enriched foods, consuming important kind of fatty acids and include L-carnitine, and understand that there is an important brain health ingredients. Give to the elderly the products they want without making them feel, as Sara says, old and sick. This is so important. We don't want to use product to feel sick. We want to use product that there is common for use in this stage of life. Need for specialized Holland supermarkets for elderly, because some of these people in the normal day is going to the supermarket to buy his food, day by day. Finally, to include symbiotics, prebiotics, and probiotics coming in the diet. Diet with whole grains, fruit and vegetables. Preparing items for health. Can you raise your hand who is the General X people here in this forum that he was born from 1969 to 1967? Who of you are in this generation? Okay, 1, 2, 3. And the baby boomers, raise your hand, don't be shy. So the X generation, we're going to preparing to this stage of life. And baby boomers, you are in there. So you need to change, you need to change your lifestyle to have a good life for elderly. And finally, is to balance diet with a functional foods that was developed special for them. The social responsibility is that we need to be close to care the elderly in our life and to care others that it is important in our work. Thank you very much for your big attention.